The desert is where stories begin, not end. People often forget that. To many, the desert is a barren, forgotten land. They see only the silence, the sun, the dust that clings to the skin, and the heat that makes the horizon dance like a mirage. But to those who understand the language of the land, the desert speaks clearly. It tells a story not of emptiness but of potential, and it was in this land of golden stillness that the first seeds of vision were planted. I never saw the desert as empty. I saw it as untouched, a space of possibility, a space that could be shaped, molded, elevated. The sand was never an obstacle. It was a challenge, and challenges are what build character, what forge resolve. We are a people born of the desert. It tested us, taught us, shaped us. It trained our eyes to look far. It taught our minds to think beyond today. It taught our hearts to endure. It taught us patience, the kind of patience required to turn vision into legacy. There were no blueprints, there were no guarantees. No one handed us a roadmap, and perhaps that was a blessing, because when you have no map, you are forced to chart your own path. You are forced to imagine what others cannot see. You are forced to look at a line of sand and see not a border but a runway, a tower, a home, a future. Vision is not about predicting what comes next, it is about deciding what should come next. That is what separates the reactive from the proactive. The follower from the leader, and the leader from the legend. When I looked across the dunes, I did not see emptiness. I saw infrastructure before there were roads. I saw visitors before there were airports. I saw families before there were homes. I saw commerce before there were towers. I saw a global city before the first crane was raised. I believed not because it was easy to believe, I believed because it was necessary to believe. If we had waited for certainty, we would still be waiting. Some will say that this was ambition. Yes, it was, and what is wrong with ambition? It is the engine of progress. It is the reason the desert is no longer quiet. It is the reason the world turns its eyes to a place that once lay unnoticed beneath the sun. It is the reason our children are born into a nation that holds its own in the arenas of technology, innovation, hospitality, and power. Ambition is not arrogance, it is duty. It is the refusal to accept that where you begin is where you must end. The world does not remember those who played it safe. It remembers those who dared to defy what was expected of them. And in the heart of the Arab world, we chose defiance, we chose imagination, we chose action. There were moments when the world doubted. Let them. Doubt is the companion of the unimaginative. Those who measure progress only by past precedent cannot understand those who build what has never been built. That is why I did not speak with words alone, I spoke with actions. If they could not understand the vision, they would see it rise in concrete and steel, in gardens and ports, in mosques and museums, in the eyes of our youth and the pride of our elders. The desert never asked for permission to exist. Neither did we. We are not waiting for validation from others. We are the validators of our own story. We measure success not in applause, but in the strength of our foundations. We do not chase after trends. We set them, and we do it with the same fire that has burned in the hearts of our people for centuries. What began in the desert was not a construction project, it was a movement, a declaration, a turning point. Vision was the first brick, and once the first brick was laid in the mind, everything else followed, not overnight, not without sacrifice, but with certainty, with clarity, with purpose. The desert was not an end. It was the beginning of a new chapter for our nation, our people, and our future. There is a misconception that great cities are built with cranes, bricks, and steel, that towers rise because the machines are powerful or the budgets are large. But materials do not build greatness. People do, belief does, and most of all courage does. Before the first brick is laid, a decision must be made. A decision that says, I will not wait for opportunity to knock. I will build the door myself, and I will open it for the world. Courage is the mortar between every stone we placed. When others hesitated, we moved. When others warned us to be careful, we chose to be bold. There were no guarantees, no assurances, no templates to copy. And that is precisely why we succeeded. It is easy to follow a trail already marked. It is much harder to walk across open ground and mark it yourself. We were not afraid of open ground. We made it our stage. To build something that does not yet exist requires a kind of bravery that is difficult to describe, the kind that silences doubt, the kind that holds steady in the face of criticism. When you start to construct the extraordinary in a world that has accepted the ordinary, you will be told it cannot be done, that it is too fast, too ambitious, too expensive, too risky. But every time I heard too much, I knew we were on the right path. Because comfort never created history. History is written by those who dare. The foundation of our nation was not poured from trucks. It was poured from a sense of duty. It came from a refusal to accept that our people were destined for mediocrity. It came from the understanding that a leader does not wait for the perfect moment he creates it. The risks we took were not reckless. They were necessary, calculated, strategic, and always aligned with a higher purpose. We were not gambling. We were building not just buildings, but belief. Some thought we were constructing for the sake of image. They saw the towers and assumed ego. What they did not see were the thousands of jobs created, the minds inspired, the ecosystems born out of every structure we raised. Every project had a purpose. Every project had a soul. From the tallest tower to the quietest corner of a heritage village, there was intention behind every step. We did not build to impress the world, we built to serve our people. And in doing so, we earned the world's respect. The skyline was never the goal. The skyline is only a reflection of the values beneath it. Determination, speed, precision, confidence. Every building that now touches the sky was once an empty idea sketched in silence. Before the glass, before the concrete, there was only vision, but vision alone is not enough. It must be followed by action, relentless, uncompromising action, action that ignores fatigue, that does not retreat when costs rise or obstacles emerge, that believes the greater the challenge, the more important the mission. There is a rhythm to progress. You must learn how to listen for it, and once you hear it, you do not stop moving. You do not pause to explain yourself to critics. You do not delay to gather applause. You build, and when you finish, you build again. A nation that stops building stops breathing. A leader who stops building has already stepped down in spirit. Some think bravery means defiance. That to be bold is to break rules, but true bravery is disciplined. It is rooted in purpose. It is not chaotic. It is focused. And focus is what allowed us to achieve the scale of transformation we see today. We did not just launch projects, we launched momentum. Once we began, we refused to lose pace. And when others came to ask how we moved so quickly, we told them, because we do not waste time debating the possible. We begin, we adjust, we continue, we finish, brick by brick. We did not just change the skyline, we changed the mindset. We showed our people what they were capable of. We showed the region what unity can produce. We showed the world that a nation born in the desert could become a global reference point. We did not rent ambition. We built it into our DNA, and once it was built, it became impossible to dismantle. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is one word, courage, and courage is not loud. It does not boast. It acts. It acts when it is still dark, when no one is watching, when failure is still possible. That is when the real building happens not on the construction site, but in the soul of the one who dares to say, I will go first. Power is not found in isolation. It does not come from wealth stacked in vaults or flags waving from tall masts. Real power lives in unity, in the hearts that beat together, in the hands that rise not for self, but for the nation. Without unity, a people are just a crowd. With it, they become a force that cannot be shaken. No matter how vast the desert or how high the mountain, nothing can stand against a people united under one purpose. This is the principle that guided every step of our transformation. Not individual ambition, but collective will. Not personal fame, but shared pride. No leader can build a city alone. No ruler can lift a nation by himself. The real strength of any society lies in its people when they are aligned, when they believe in a common future, when they trust the direction even before they see the destination. Unity is not declared, it is forged and it is tested. There were times when storms came economic, political, cultural. Winds blew hard from every direction. Some said we would fracture. Some waited for the momentum to slow, for the vision to fade, for the people to grow tired. But what they misunderstood is this: our unity is not conditional. It is not built on convenience. It is built on loyalty, on blood, on faith, on the shared memory of our ancestors who endured hunger, heat, and hardship long before oil ever touched the soil. We are bound not by circumstance but by identity. We are not a collection of names on paper. We are a tribe, a family, a single body that moves with one soul. Every success we achieved was not credited to one individual, one office, or one generation. It belonged to everyone, to the engineer who stayed late, to the mother who raised a son with values, to the teacher who planted discipline, to the laborer whose sweat soaked the foundations of our skyline. They are all part of the story, they are all part of the rise. The fastest way to weaken a nation is to divide it, not with weapons, but with doubt, with comparison, with distraction. But those tactics do not work here. Our people are awake. They know what it took to reach this place. They remember the days when there was nothing but hope, and they protect what has been built with the fiercest kind of love, not loud, not boastful, but steadfast. It is not unity for the sake of uniformity. We do not erase difference. We embrace it, but we channel it. In our society, you will find tribes and languages and origins that stretch across history, but they all find their place beneath one flag. The falcon does not fly in circles. It knows its direction. So do we. The more the world changes, the tighter we hold to each other. Progress never required forgetting who we are. In fact, remembering who we are is what allowed us to progress. Unity is not always loud. It does not always make headlines. It is quiet but constant. It shows up in small moments, in the neighbor who helps without being asked, in the businessman who reinvests in his city, in the young citizen who learns not just to dream, but to serve. It shows in the way our people speak of their country, not with fear, but with affection, not with doubt, but with responsibility. When the people believe they are part of something greater, they rise. And when they rise, the nation rises with them. There were those who said a nation like ours would have to choose between tradition and modernity. They said to move forward, we would have to let go of what makes us unique. But they were wrong. Our unity proved them wrong, because we never saw tradition as a weight, we saw it as a compass. It grounded us while we reached higher. It reminded us who we are, even as we welcomed the world. And we did welcome the world openly, generously, but never blindly. We opened our doors not to be changed, but to lead the change, to unite a people. You must do more than promise, you must deliver. Not just once, but every day. Unity is built through trust, and trust is built through action. When the people see that the words of their leadership match the actions of their leadership, they stand together without being told. They build without being ordered. They protect without being asked. That is true nationhood, when service to the homeland is not an obligation, but an instinct. We did not climb together by accident. We rose because the will of the people matched the vision of the leadership. That alignment is sacred, and it is rare, but once it is achieved, no force on earth can rival it. Let others rely on resources, technology, and alliances. We rely first and foremost on each other, and in that unity we found not just strength, we found destiny. There was a time when innovation was seen as a foreign concept in our region, something imported, something distant. We were told that to be innovative we must abandon our past, that to adopt technology we must reject identity, that to build the future we must erase our traditions, but we never accepted that equation. We knew then, and we know now, that the true definition of innovation is not rebellion, it is evolution. It is the ability to stay rooted while reaching forward. It is the wisdom to keep our heritage as our foundation, and our imagination as our wings. Tradition and innovation are not enemies, they are allies when handled with vision. One teaches us who we are, the other shows us who we can become. The greatest mistake is to think they must compete. The greatest triumph is to make them work together, and that is exactly what we have done. When we began to modernize, we did not borrow blindly. We did not import identities. We did not follow for the sake of following. We studied the best practices in the world, and then we reshaped them to suit our values, our people, our way of life. We built cities filled with digital intelligence, but we did not forget the value of human character. We embraced artificial intelligence, but we did not ignore our ancient intelligence. We brought innovation to our schools, to our airports, to our hospitals, to our mosques, and in every space we asked the same question: does this serve the future of our people? Innovation is not limited to machines or apps. Innovation is a mindset. It is a culture. It is the daily decision to do things better than they were done yesterday. It is the willingness to challenge process, to question routine, to refuse laziness. It is the discipline to plan for the future, even when the present is comfortable. And we were never interested in being comfortable. Comfort breeds stagnation. Stagnation breeds irrelevance. We chose restlessness. We chose movement. We chose to be the architects of our own tomorrow. Some were surprised when we became a center for innovation. They asked how a desert city could attract the world's top minds, how it could lead in sustainability, in transport, in fintech, in artificial intelligence. But those who were surprised were the same ones who underestimated us from the beginning. They did not understand that a society trained by the desert understands adaptation better than anyone. They did not understand that we were not waiting for trends, we were setting them. We did not innovate because it was fashionable. We innovated because it was necessary, because oil would not last forever, because resources come and go, because the future belongs not to those who consume, but to those who create. And so we built systems, ecosystems, entire industries, from clean energy to digital governance, from smart cities to space programs, not as symbols but as pillars, not as decoration but as infrastructure. Innovation is not only for the elite. It is not confined to laboratories or offices with glass walls. It must be felt by the citizen renewing a passport in seconds, by the entrepreneur launching a business in a single day, by the student learning coding in primary school, by the government employee measuring success not by hours spent but by results delivered. That is what we have built, a culture of innovation that touches every layer of life. We measure innovation not in headlines but in impact, not in exhibitions but in execution. We ask, is life easier? Is the economy smarter? Are services faster? Are our youth more equipped for the unknown? Because true innovation prepares a nation not just for the next quarter but for the next century. Tradition taught us to honor time, innovation taught us to master it. In the past, our ancestors navigated by stars. Today, we navigate by data, but the spirit is the same, a hunger to move forward, a refusal to get lost, a need to explore. Our forefathers crossed the desert by camel. Our sons and daughters now aim for Mars. The journey has changed, the essence has not. This is how we innovate, with reverence for what came before and clarity for what lies ahead. We do not forget the tent as we sit in the tower. We do not forget the palm tree as we build vertical forests. We do not forget the call to prayer, even as we invent silent drones and autonomous taxis. We understand that the best innovation strengthens identity, it does not dilute it. Let others race to catch up. We will continue building the road ahead, a road that leads to a future where every child grows up knowing that their ideas are valid, their creativity is needed, and their place in this story is not determined by their background, but by their contribution. Leadership is not a position, it is not a throne, it is not a title etched in gold or a seat at the front of a gathering. Leadership is a burden, a responsibility, a lifelong commitment to those who trust you with their futures. It begins not with command, but with care. It does not rise through authority, but through sacrifice. A true leader is the first to rise and the last to rest. He does not walk ahead to be seen, but to make sure the path is safe for others to follow. To lead is to serve when it is easy and when it is hard, to serve when the world is watching and when no one sees. Those who believe leadership is about being obeyed have never truly led. Leadership is about listening. Listening to the needs that go unspoken, to the struggles buried beneath silence, to the hopes that live quietly in the heart of a nation. A leader hears them all. He does not dismiss complaints. He learns from them. He does not fear criticism. He welcomes it if it brings improvement. The people are not subjects, they are partners. They are not beneath leadership, they are the very reason it exists. They do not owe allegiance by force, they offer loyalty when it is earned. And loyalty is not bought with rewards. It is secured through action, through consistency, through trust that is built decision by decision, year by year, generation by generation. When the people believe their leader is working for them, not himself, they will walk beside him through storm and fire. A good leader builds institutions. A great one builds confidence. A good leader sets goals. A great one sets standards. Leadership is not about lifting yourself, it is about lifting others. It is about planting the seeds of progress in soil you may never see bloom. It is about preparing the young not just to follow, but to lead even better than you did. Legacy is not measured by how long you ruled. It is measured by how well others flourish in your absence. Every plan I approved as a servant. Every project I launched with the people in mind. Not for prestige, not for ceremony, but because there was a need and it was my duty to respond. And when a leader responds to need, he must respond with urgency. Delay is a form of negligence. Indecision is a form of weakness. Leadership demands speed, not recklessness, but resolve, not hesitation, but courage guided by principle. Service means being present not just in office, but in spirit. A leader must walk among his people. He must see with his own eyes what they endure, what they celebrate, what they need. A report may tell you the numbers, but only presence will tell you the truth. You must visit the school, visit the hospital. Stand in the sun with the laborer, sit with the widow, listen to the child. Only then do you understand what your decisions truly mean. Those who rule from behind doors will eventually be forgotten. Those who serve from the front lines will be remembered long after they are gone. Because service leaves a mark, not on stone but on hearts, not on paper but in lives changed. That is the true reward of leadership, not applause, not statues, but the silent progress of a people who rise without needing to look back. I never sought to be celebrated. I sought to be useful, to be accountable, to turn vision into reality not through speeches, but through execution. A good idea is nothing if it remains in a file. A promise is nothing if it is not fulfilled. Words are easy, action is sacred, and leadership, above all, must be defined by results. Service also means making the hard decisions, the ones that will not earn praise in the short term, the ones that require discipline, reform, sacrifice. It means saying no when it would be easier to say yes. It means protecting the long-term good, even if it brings short-term criticism. Leadership is not a popularity contest. It is a moral contract. It is doing what is right, even when it is not what is liked. And service must never end. There is no retirement from responsibility, no pause button on duty. Whether you are young or old, in office or out, the heart of a true leader is always on call, always alert, always ready to serve again, to step forward again, to carry the weight again. Because once you have led with integrity, service is no longer a choice, it is who you are, certainly. Here is a powerful and cohesive conclusion to the entire script, staying true to the voice, rhythm, and leadership tone established throughout. It weaves together the themes of vision, courage, unity, innovation, and service into a final, resonant statement. Conclusion: what began in silence beneath the open sky and shifting dunes has become a voice heard around the world. Not because we shouted, but because we built, because we moved when others waited, because we believed when others doubted. From the dust we carved out destiny, from the heat we drew energy, from the limits we crafted possibility, and through it all we never forgot who we are. We did not borrow greatness, we forged it. We did not chase the future, we led it, not with slogans but with action, not for praise but for purpose. The towers may rise high, but the values run deeper. It is not the glass, the steel, or the stone that defines us, it is the spirit. The spirit that dreams without fear, the spirit that unites without condition, the spirit that serves without pause. That is the foundation of this land. The desert did not disappear, it transformed. And so did we, not by abandoning our roots, but by strengthening them, not by seeking comfort, but by choosing challenge. This is what it means to lead. This is what it means to build, not just a city, not just a nation, but a legacy. One that speaks not only to this generation, but to every generation still to come. Let others ask how. Let them wonder why. We already know, because we chose vision over doubt, bravery over fear, unity over division, innovation over imitation, and service over self. And we will choose them again every day, for as long as we are trusted to lead.